Jonathan Gonzalez is the owner of Raptor Events LLC. Raptor Events provides interactive and educational shows with amazing birds of prey and reptiles. Today, discussing biomimicry, where material structures and systems are modeled after biological entities and processes, we will focus on the unique and natural behaviors of these animals. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jonathan.
All right, all right. Yeah, I have a guy on tech, so we have HD cams, so we can see the birds up close. So over here is Ollie. He's our Eurasian eagle owl. Really cool bird here. He's also very friendly. So if you book us for an event, you get to actually pet this guy. I actually raised him since he was a young bird. This is a little photo picture of Ollie there when he was a baby. He was really cool. We study owls for biomimicry purposes. If we look at a feather I have that he shed earlier this year, I'm not sure. Okay, I can see that. The edges of the feather are frayed. So they're not straight like a falcon's feathers. They have that fraying because owls are really good at silent flight. It's hard to tell on the actual bird, but when in the future, if you ever get a chance to pet him, we do the STEM event every year. You'll notice his feathers are some of the softest feathers you've ever felt. That allows him to absorb any of the sound when he's flying. If a falcon was in flight, they care more about speed rather than stealth. So engineers and scientists have studied their feathers and they have designed fan blades for internal use in computers that have those same frayed edges, but it's more rigid, of course, allowing them to have, whisper mode, really, really quiet computer fans. He also likes looking behind him a lot. If we look at our own necks, it's Halloween coming up, so you can look at a skeleton and you can count 7 neck bones on a human. A giraffe also has 7. Ollie here, he's looking around at different things. Check out his head spin. Sometimes you can see him turn his head pretty clearly there. He might flap behind us. He has 14 neck bones, so he has quite a bit more movement there. His eyes, these are really, really cool. So right now I'm just playing with his beak. Since I raised him, I kind of act like he's a baby bird just to kind of hang out with him and keep him calm. I wouldn't do this with any of my other birds that are differently behaved. But I was talking about his eyes. So if we look at those big, beautiful eyes, as humans, our eyes are more rounded. His taper back, kind of like a cone. But he has really, really good eyesight. And so if you had him on a football field and a newspaper across a football field, he would be able to read the fine print on that newspaper if he could read. If you look at your pinky finger, that top joint on your finger is actually about how big his brain is. With him, they have a lot more space taken up with their eyes than they do with their brains. But that doesn't mean he is a bad hunter. He is really good at hunting. If we see a lot of owls love to hunt skunks. This is a skunk pelt, just to give you an idea, because owls have no sense of smell. And if you want to give me the electronic there, I'm going to show you guys something really cool. I'm going to test my grip strength, and then I'll tell you what this guy can score. I have a tester here. I'm just turning it on. Your average small falcon that you might see a little smaller than a peregrine falcon out in the wild can score about 100 to 120 pounds per square inch of crushing power. Once this thing turns on, I'll show you what I can do. It's still loading there. Let's see. All right. Squeeze. All right, I got 102. So I am within the range of a falcon. Your average red-tailed hawk, and those are the hawks you usually see above a freeway when you're passing by, things like that, they can score 200 to 300 pounds per square inch. That's about a square inch size. This owl, his feet are so strong, he can register between 500 and 700 pounds per square inch of crushing power. Really, really powerful. Let's see if I can show you his feet in the camera there. You might be interested in the microphone, so we got to... you can see his talons here next to my finger. His talons are larger than leopard claws. So those big cats in Africa have smaller claws than our owl here. That doesn't mean I'd rather be in a room with a leopard. So these are his ear tufts. They are not his actual ears. His ears are on the sides of his head, and they're in a unique pattern because our ears are symmetric. He has one ear higher than the other. It allows him to hear in a surround sound kind of fashion and really pinpoint where certain sounds are coming from. I know, and he's making some noises. Let's see what else is really cool about owls. Let's see if we can see his wings. Sometimes he'll flap. He chose to flap down. There we go. There's a close up of his wings. His wingspan is about 4 feet. Male birds are smaller than females in the raptor world, the bird of prey world. Female wingspan is up to 6 feet. On this guy, he has about 4 feet. Females tend to be larger than males for two main reasons. One of those reasons is to protect the nest. I'd rather, the parent be sitting on the eggs that's bigger and scarier than little Ollie here. And another reason is so they don't have to compete for resources. If you think about a female might catch larger prey, a male catching smaller, quicker prey, then they're not competing for resources in times of scarcity. Let's see. Yeah, we talked about his great eyesight. He has no sense of smell, which is why he likes to naturally hunt those skunks. They're really, really cool birds. We talked about his crushing power, his silent flight. We talked about his head spin. I guess I'm ready to start talking about some questions. Um, they're really, really unique birds.
Great. I'm going to invite everyone right now. Type your questions into the chat. I'll get started here. Thank you so much again, Jonathan. This is incredible. It's so great. I feel like during COVID times, a lot of people aren't able to go out, to zoos or to these different areas to see this amazing wildlife. And so what a joy it is to be able to see this here with you. I know you're going to be on our schedule a little bit later on today. Could you give us a little bit of a preview? Are you planning on doing the same exhibit or something different? And I know that you have a bunch of other species that you work with. So maybe just a little bit of background about the different species you do and what you have planned.
So each hour, so 9 o'clock, 10, 11, and 12, we have a different bird being exhibited. I don't remember the order off the top of my head, but I know the next one is our auger buzzard. All the rest of the ones, we are actually going to do some flight. Ollie here is kind of lazy. Um, he he's a really good program bird for kids to meet up close. But we have an auger buzzard and a lanner falcon and a Harris hawk. So during the day, each of the programs, we're going to be doing some flight. Behind me back there, there's a perch. I don't know if you can see it on screen. And so we're going to fly around the yard, and we have someone on the camera that'll show the motion as it happens. Give you a fun fact, not a fun fact, but kind of a fun story. I met a child at an event a couple years back that thought owls were a mythical creature. So that's why I feel like my work is pretty important. So we gave them a chance to understand that they are a real animal that needs some conservation and protections. One thing I forgot to mention in my presentation is how important owls are for the environment. If you had a single pair of rats and those rats were able to breed with no predators, by the end of 1 year, you would have 2 million rats. By the end of 2 years, it would be 20 million. So we need owls and falcons and snakes and all these animals to keep those rats under control. I would rather not be swimming in rats, although I had pet rats before. It's different when they're wild. But so what I urge everyone to do is to not use rat poison, because an owl or a snake or mountain lions, it's happening all over the place. They will eat a rat that has been poisoned, and then they will get sick and they won't make it. There are many, many owls every year. His cousin, our native barn owl, can eat up to 1,000 rodents a year. One barn owl can do about 1,000 a year. So that's pretty impressive. I'll take another question.
Sure. So we have another one here, a question about possible careers in the future. How would you be able to work with these birds? What's the pathway for that?
So there's a few pathways. With owls specifically, it's a little more unique. I started my own business. I was a volunteer at the LA Zoo in high school. That's actually how we got connected to this event a few years ago. I'm friends with the curator of birds over there, and they called him, and he recommended me as a private ability to meet the animals. And I'm able to control my own show and what I feel is important to educate on. I recently watched on Netflix the David Attenborough Life on Our Planet. I highly recommend, I can't recommend it enough for humans to see it, because it shows what is happening on our planet in the 93 years he has been here. He narrates it, and he called it his witness statement. So I really recommend you check that out. Careers, people work with birds as veterinarians. Some people do it as a hobby. I also do it as a hobby as well as work. You can be a falconer if you join the community. That people will go hunting with a bird with natural conditions. So that's a really fun way to, be a hobbyist involved, and you could do another job if you want to do that. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. He's looking at stuff in the future far away. There are also rehabbers, people who will take these animals in that have been injured. Some of them will do education. A lot of them will try to get funding from donations to treat birds with broken wings, electrocuted. I remember last year we spoke to someone from SoCal Edison at the same event, and they have a whole program insulating wires to prevent birds of prey from getting electrocuted. Yeah, so hopefully that answers the question there.
Great, thank you, Jonathan. We have another one here. Are there other ways to apply raptor qualities to engineering, like the feathers with the fans that you mentioned at the beginning of your presentation?
Yeah, so we're gonna speak more of that later with the falcons, but since everybody kind of moves around to different things, not quite as much with the owl. There are a lot of planes that are based off of birds of prey. So you've heard of the falcon jets, probably. His nostrils are a little different. His look like ours, just holes. But if you look at a falcon, if you tune in later when I bring out the falcon, they have a little notch inside their nostril. And when scientists and engineers, 50, 60 years ago were designing fighter jets, really fast planes, they had to study the shape and nostrils of falcons, because our native peregrine falcon that lives here, actually lives all over the world, they can hit speeds of 242 miles an hour in a dive. And so scientists saw that, and they figured out, like, okay, we need to see how they're able to breathe at those top speeds. So jet engine air inlets, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know everything about it, but that's the term I've learned. They're designed just really similar to the falcon nostril. And if you look at, I know there's a picture online, if you Google hawk plane biomimicry, you'll see a side profile of a hawk flying and a side profile of a jet, and they look very, very similar. So yeah, it's really cool what we can learn from animals here.
Great, thank you so much, Jonathan. A couple more questions here for you. Do you know what the range of the species is? Would you find it out, walking around, or, what areas of the world do they
So
live in?
this guy, he would come from Europe and Asia. They have a really big range. These guys are not endangered. He's very similar to our native great horned owl. So if you're walking around here in the woods and places, I've even heard some here in Long Beach, pretty uncommon, but more woodsy areas. And the great horned owl is the recording they use in all the cartoons for Halloween, the hoo hoo hoo. He is a Eurasian eagle owl. His sounds more like woohoo. And he would come from forests all across Europe and Asia. They have some as far as Siberia. Siberian eagle owls are much lighter in color, I think, to blend in with the snow. And there's Egyptian eagle owls as well. Like, they go into North Africa. So really, really far range and very versatile for different climates.
Great. And do they spend a lot of their time flying around? Like, how long of a duration? Like, how far can they go from one spot to another?
That's a good question. Owls will tend to settle down, and they will fly mostly for hunting. Yeah, he likes looking at the boom mic there. But owls they still migrate depending on which owl species. There are over 200 different species of owls in the world. He is one of the larger of the species. But yeah, so they will migrate, and that will be when they're going longer distance. They're really content when they have their home, kind of settling in for a nice tree. His feathers match the different tree barks that you might find in forests, especially if you look at his back. Is that a good way to, yeah, you can see his back. That blends in with tree bark, you can imagine. I wish I had a nice piece of tree bark to show you. But when they're hunting at night, they won't do that much travel. When I take him out of his enclosure every day, he will hoot at me. He loves his home, but then he likes meeting people as well. So hopefully I answered that.
Great. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Like you said, we have you coming up a couple more times throughout the day. So really excited to have you here with us. I really appreciate the presentation. I think with that, we will finish up with this segment. We'll move on to the next. So thank you again, Jonathan.
Thank you so much.